All right, I don't have Chris or Ryan, anybody today. Everybody's out there meeting with folks. It's Easter morning, so I'm just going to do my very best to look through questions and see if we what we have and how we can respond to them. What's it? Yeah, Jake, you would always offer, wouldn't you? You'd be like, hey, I'll be glad to come bounce this off you. I had one in between services, and I've got one here. Perfect. Okay, so I'll give you both of those. The one in between services from one of the folks that were visiting. Their question was really simple, which is, how can they know? And this was a kind of a thing, like they're having a hard time even discerning whether they are or are not experiencing freedom. Like it's one of those, like that's a discerning question. How do you discern it? And I guess my encouragement to them, if you've ever struggled with that, is, I mean, obviously it's very difficult. I think sometimes people are sold on the fact that the Christian faith is like an expressway. Like, you should just be clicking off, like from miles by miles, you should just be like, change. And I believe that's an exception and not so much the rule. I believe the rule feels a lot more like the tortoise and the hare, like the tortoise is slow and steady, and that God is constantly at work. Even that Corinthians verse about making us more and more like Him. And so my encouragement to them was, listen, sometimes for me, I have a hard time in the moment, even maybe let's say it's a moment where I'm experiencing, I'm struggling to extend grace, or I'm struggling to really receive it. Sometimes I have to look back. Sometimes I have to get a bigger view and see, from where I was to where I am I experiencing more and more grace? Like, am I experiencing it, and am I able to live in it and give it to others? And I think that kind of lens, sometimes you got to back up a hair just so you can see the growth. You can see, even if you feel like it's slow, that there's growth there. And if there's growth there, then more than likely you're not fully chained up. There might be some things you can work on, but it may just be something that you're going to continue to grow in. So I kind of encouraged them there. This one's good. This is how do we find freedom from fear when fighting against an anxiety disorder. And so, there's a lot of legitimacy to just some disorders that people have. But I don't think the answer is any different. I think sometimes just being okay with the disorder that you are going to face, I would say you're more predisposed. So for an example, if you are more predisposed to an anxiety in your life, then just know that you're going to experience the same anxious temptation to be anxious as everybody else, but the disorder itself is just going to get there faster. It's going to get there quicker. It doesn't change the solution. It doesn't. I mean, whether it's you with this disorder or someone else, it doesn't change the solution, which is how do I overcome this? Well, it's with courage. It's with love and courage and hope in the person of Christ. Fear, anything to do with fear. I give people the example. Fear is like a constant raging river beneath the surface. And sometimes, we don't even know we're experiencing fear until it kind of shoots up through holes and it kind of pops up and rears its ugly head. And I basically say, look, the temptation to fear is a natural temptation. Again, you may be predisposed to any type of worry or anxiety, but when it pops up, it's the same thing that overcomes it. It's a courage, not in your own strength, but in His strength. It's a courage and trust that who am I trusting with my fear, and the courage to overcome it is the one who overcomes. And so I don't think that's any different. Obviously, I think there's some great counseling. There's obviously some medication for certain disorders that I believe help. I believe God kind of put those together. But I would not struggle with the fact that because you have a disorder that predisposes you quicker to a thing, that's a problem, therefore you don't have a solution. I would definitely encourage you to experience the grace of God, that He's not unaware of how you're made. He's not unaware of how you are wired, and that He's going to give you grace for that. He's going to give you power to overcome that. So I would look at those two questions. Thank you so much for asking those today on Easter. We look forward to the series, Am I Christian? If you have questions throughout the week, feel free to ask them. You can email or text those in, and we will see you next week. Thanks, guys.